Hi friends, host Eric here, host Talking with Famous People, and tonight I want to do sort of a wrap-up video regarding the sale that Spacey and I had and all the chaos and excitement of the Labor Day weekend and things in the mix and so forth. So, first of all, let me just say how gratified I am to everybody who booked a slot, and I couldn't have been more pleased at the success of it. You know, it's like this is what it looks like. We booked two out of the three. This is actually I need to open up the other one to show you the August part. So August. This is our Labor Day sale. If you see here, we had Thursday all booked except for this one. Friday all booked completely. Saturday all booked completely. We sold all those slots. Now, granted, we had some very good deals here, so I mean, it's like it's a good time to buy a tight bean. But regardless, it's very gratifying that we have that much interest, and I think, frankly, appropriate. You know, it's like I believe Spacey and I are doing it right, and I'm not sure anybody else really is. I don't know of anybody else specifically who's doing it the same way or doing it as well. Also, I gotta say, having all this experience with typing all these people has really taught me a lot. I'm sure it's taught Spacey a lot as well. Here's Sunday's one unbooked, the early one, which is fine because it was early Sunday morning. Monday, September 2nd, that was this morning. This was quite a stretch of work here. So much so, in fact, that I was supposed to have a 5 p.m. debate session. This finished early a little bit because these four were all one big family. One family who all booked it, and we did all four of them in about 3 hours. So I had a little extra time to take a little nap, and I mean, I was so done, I was so exhausted by the end of this that I just, even though I had like an hour and a half to take a nap, I was out till 6:30 or something when I woke up, 7 o'clock, somewhere in there. Uh, it was a long weekend. It was a lot of fun. It was also frustrating because I kept having these technical difficulties with this laptop. This laptop has problems. Can't figure out exactly what's wrong with it, but I suspect it has to do, not that anybody cares about this at all, I suspect it has to do with this Intel rapid storage technology. That sometimes it hangs up when it's communicating with the RAM or something. I don't know. I have no idea, really, frankly, but I'm just throwing out guesses. Regardless, I gotta get another new laptop, so I will do that in not very long. But Tuesday, tomorrow is already booked, which is fantastic. It's almost tomorrow already. But I gotta say, one of the more fun of all the weekend's things was this last group, this family. We're talking about an ENTJ dad, an INFJ mom, an ISTP son, and an ENFJ son. Not a shred of NE or SI in the family. Uh, Very interesting. And I gotta say this as well from finishing the weekend of typing and typing in the past and stuff. The type that's absolutely easiest for me to type, I can type in 5 seconds usually. It's like it takes me no time at all. Is ENTJ. ENTJ is incredibly easy to type. They've got no SI. They don't try to fake it like ENFJs might, and and they give you very practical TE style answers. In other words, they're trying to help you solve the problem. They're not trying to game it. They're not trying to whatever. And so it's pretty easy to type ENTJs. They also sound very similar to each other. So it's fun. I enjoy typing kids. Typing kids is easy. Typing kids is just the same as typing adults. It's like I've typed plenty of kids because I'm a teacher. That's my debate school. And typing kids is easy because they can't even begin to game it. They have no idea how to game. They don't know about cognitive functions. They don't know about personality types or anything like that. So at this point, I think Spacey and I are extremely accurate. Like, every once in a while, there'll be somebody that'll say, not every once in a while, maybe like 1 out of 5 or 6 of them, I'll be like, there's a chance you might be meh, right? You're probably a meh, but there's a chance you might be meh. But but the rest of the time, like 5 out of 6 times, I'm 100%, Spacey's 100%, we're on the same page, and it's not because we're influencing each other. There's no Ouija board shit going on here. I mean, we're making a case, and it's a matter of what's the winning case here. And being a debate coach and him being an INTP is very, very smart, and particularly intuitive one. I mean, a lot of INTPs are smart and intuitive, but understanding which case wins is very much exactly in the wheelhouse of an ENTP and an INTP. Especially one of them, like I said, is a coach. And ultimately, what type you are, the question is answered by which case wins. If I were to make the case based on all the data that I have about you that you were a meh, could I win that case against you were a meh if I were arguing both sides of it myself? So I had no advantage over myself as a debater, so I just have to factor in rhetorical slope at that point. Well, what's the actual more defensible position? The thing is, most people collapse down after we do a certain amount of typing of them into only one possible type. Is the only case you can win. You can't win against. I can't beat myself with any other case there. I can't even come close. It's so definitive. Now, granted, you might say this is in some sense self-referential. That when I note that somebody must be, for example, ENTJ or ENFJ because they can't remember anything about their specific details of their experience, you might say, well, but you might have that wrong, Eric. Maybe that actually doesn't correlate with me or doesn't correlate with me. Well, in that case, if you want to evaluate it like that, then you're going to have to sort of recognize that there is fundamentally a taxonomical rather than a modular element to cognitive functions in that, but there is to anything. Not anything. Because, look, it's descriptive as well as predictive and simulatable. You want it to be simulatable because then you actually are describing successfully how vectors, agents, objects on a field within a given grammar operate. So you want that, but that's not all it is. It's also a taxonomy. And we choose our names. The fact that we call it, introverted sensing instead of introverted jiggity jow is irrelevant, but once we've identified that name as referencing a certain area of thing that's been clearly defined, then we just have to question perhaps whether that area of definition is arbitrary or not. Now, most areas of definition in cognitive functions are not going to be arbitrary because they represent that taxonomy of actual human attention. That is to say, we can always go back to the fundamental source of the data. Do people actually have another way of attention that we haven't accounted for example? You might say faith. You might say, well, look, cognitive functions don't account for faith, and faith is a form of attention, and so it's not an adequate taxonomy of attentional manners. Or you could argue faith is implicit in NI, or you could argue that faith is implicit in FI, or whatever you could do. The thing is, if you want to critique a cognitive function model, then you need to understand what it's attempting to be. And a cognitive function model is not attempting to be a complete explanation of all of human attention, all of human experience. It's a taxonomy of the different channels through which people pay attention. And we know they're different channels because they have a relationship that includes either exclusivity, proportionality, or some sort of mechanical link between two elements within the channel package. So it's like if I use my forehand to get that, then I won't use my backhand. And I'll necessarily be positioned someplace else on the court as a consequence. The same thing's true with paying attention. If I'm coming up with these ideas and generating this video right now, then what am I not doing? What I should be doing, which is the SI work, going through and making sure I've got all those videos that are going to be published tagged out and titled right, and ideally I would download them and even add like a thing at the beginning and a thing at the end. I do all the SENITE shit that I don't want to do. Why don't I want to do it? Well, it's on the other side of my stack, so I don't like that part. I can do some of it sometimes, and I will probably. Maybe I can say, Spacey, come help me with it, and maybe that'll give me a little bit more motivation to take turns or something. I don't know. It's boring ass shit, as far as I'm concerned. Some people might say, now the hard work's been done, and I can just fucking deal with these details and get everything just perfect, and it's going to be great. Some people might be like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just as valid as my approach. In fact, it's more effective, I'm sure. Anyway, if you would still like to get typed, we've got these sessions available Wednesday, September 4th. Thursday, the 5th, we got one slot left available in the morning. Friday's still open. Saturday is still open as well. So, I'm really hoping to get a steady, consistent supply of sessions such that we can get at least 40 or so sessions booked a month for Spacey to take that revenue and be able to survive on, basically. And I don't expect anybody to book a session because of that, but just thought I'd share, because I always tell everybody what's going on with me, you know. It's pretty cool. It's like I never could do this when I was just trying to do it for myself. But the pressing need of the breakup and the need to move, and Spacey definitely not going to live here with me at my parents' house. So, you know, he needs housing, and that sort of pressing situation allows me to really use my TE effectively. And because it's so rooted in FE and other things, like, you know, NIFI or whatever. And I feel really grateful to the Slavs that this whole sale thing worked out, along with monies he already had, and a couple other sources of funds and stuff. It looks like he's got first and last and stuff, no problem. And we'll get him into a place ASAP and out of Kimberly's hair, and then proceed on with the year, turning this thing into a actual functional, organized, managed business, and hopefully try to grow it and book more sessions. We keep getting better at it. We genuinely are the best. So it's a good reason to, if you're ever going to be typed by anybody, be typed by us. So there's no point in going to see us Joseph first. You're just going to come to us afterwards and go, that didn't make any sense. We stand behind our typings. In other words, if anybody wants to tell you you're another type, we will win the argument against that person. I will win the argument against that person. In fact, if I say to you at the end of it, I am certain about this, I am your typological accountant, then I know. And that means if somebody's trying to type you something else and they want to dispute it with me, we can sit down and argue about it, and I will absolutely crush them, because I wouldn't have said that if I weren't sure. And if I'm sure, that means I've got plenty of good reasons for my thing, and I've already anticipated all the possible argumentations against it, and there's no way another kind of typing can win the argument. So that's the deal there about that. There's another thing for those of you who want to know sort of where the proceeds are going or something. I've got it set up with Spacey such that he'll be receiving all the revenue directly from this up until a certain point, and once he gets to like 40 sessions a month or something, then the revenues will. Well, what I want to do with the revenue, any revenues that generate over $4,000 a month, basically, is have those go to Susie and Abraham until I don't know. It depends how much money can come in. I don't think it's gonna be much more than $4,000 a month coming in. Certainly not at first. Booking 40 sessions a month is plausible, and also probably about our limit at the moment. I would suspect, and we'll probably have to hustle to do that. We're gonna have to make some videos that function well as ads for the typing service, etc. But I'm thinking if we push hard, we can get up to 50 or something a month. Then we can start finishing the Abraham Susie project as well. So at the moment, I have means sufficient that I don't need any of these revenues for sustaining myself, given my current living situation and stuff. I have other revenues. I have other income streams. So unrelated to this. So I want to see this year. I am setting myself up metaphysically and physically. So it's what I call a year of sacrifice. And I'm not really sacrificing anything, but people will view it as such. And what they don't understand is it's an investment. So it's an investment in something magical. Anyway, it's pretty great here at my parents' house, I gotta say. Uh, this is so much more comfortable than any places I've been since I left my parents' house. I'll tell you something, an ESTJ knows how to keep a comfortable, effective, efficient, well thought out home. It's like there's nothing like, in Kimberly's house, there was doors would open into each other, and it's just a fucking tea disaster. Around here, everything's smooth and efficient. It's getting a little warm. And this thing is up high next to the ceiling, so it doesn't blow directly on you. It just cools down the room. It's relatively quiet. It also has a heater, a nice remote control. Got this massive, comfortable green chair I'm sitting in that my dad picks his furniture wisely. This lamp that is lighting me is this amazing lamp on a mic stand that's like fully adjustable every direction. You can point to whatever you want to point it to. It's perfect for me. It's like tailor-made for me doing YouTube shit. My dad doesn't like me using his coffee maker inside the house. I don't use it right. And he's probably right. It's a very old coffee maker. It doesn't have any kind of interrupt. So if you turn it on, if you put the water in, once you put the water in, it starts to come down right away. It starts to come down. So you have to put the water in last. And anyway, he's very fussy about his coffee maker. So, but what does my dad do? What's the solution here at my dad's house? Well, he just shows up the next morning with a coffee maker for me. He brings in me a brand new Mr. Coffee Maker and a big can of chock full of nuts coffee and says, "Now, son, you can do coffee the way you want to do it out here and not mess with my coffee maker." I mean, it's like, now that's a fucking solution. That's a solution I enjoy. I don't have to do anything. It's my dad's demonstrative SE and his TE and his wanting always to solve problems and get in there and get his, son, we gotta blah blah blah. So, it's something I'm comfortable with. I've known my dad my whole life, obviously, and he's a gruff kind of guy in some ways, but extremely loving and caring, and has always cared about me a great deal, and has always taken care of me a great deal. Helped me understand how to do things and be grounded too. It's like that's the SI part. It's helped me understand how to do things, and also grounded me in regularity and this is the way it's done, and patriotism and stuff like that that I probably otherwise wouldn't have thought much of. Um, Great dad, unbelievable dad, and it's really so satisfying being home. Where people treat each other properly. Everybody treats each other kindly around here. Not everybody. There's only the three of us, right? There only ever was the three of us until Delilah came around. So it's a pretty tight knit little group we got. Even, mom is very well loved here, even though she's a challenge. We take good care of her, and my dad was taking great care of her before I moved in, so it's not like I should take any credit for taking great care of her. But when she is in my stead, I make sure she's taken good care of. Yes, when I was at Kimberly's, I would get a little frustrated with my mom because there's so much frustration in general with communication problems that when my mom, I can communicate with her. Well, when I can't communicate with my mom, there's a good reason for that. She has dementia, and expecting her to be able to communicate effectively is insane. Um, but when you're in an environment where you're communicating very poorly and struggling with it all the time, then your frustration level your ability to tolerate frustration goes down. So, I barked at mom a few times at Kimberly's house and kind of got short tempered with her and stuff, and it's unfortunate. But here, it's a different ballgame. Here, I know that. I mean,